Rabbi Friedman, hello, thank God it's Tuesday and Happy New Year. This is what I said to everybody in Russian just now. We're not crazy. It is New Year, isn't it? It's a real New Year.
The new year of New Year's, the holiday of holidays.
So today is a New Year of Hassidism. So basically, this is, of course, the topic of our conversation. But truthfully, it's very hard to understand Hasidism as it is to understand Torah. But if we say to the question of what is Torah in a nutshell, and that's probably the easiest thing for people to understand, we say it's treat another as you would treat yourself, or love another as you would love yourself. So if we were to say, what is Hasidism is in a nutshell, is it possible to explain it in a similar manner?
Well, if you sum up the entire Torah as love others as you love yourself, then you can sum up Hasidus as love others more than you love yourself.
Wow.
Why limit it? And the truth is, all great people, all the people that we admire, if you think about it, they loved other people more than they loved themselves. And that was what was so great about them. They put their own needs aside for other people's needs. I mean, isn't that the most common virtue that we admire? So we make a mistake to think that you shouldn't love others more than you love yourself, as if the Torah is trying to protect you from loving too much. Now, so Hasidus generally is the deeper dimension to every word in Torah. It's not another Torah. The Torah is studied in two dimensions. Hasidus is the third dimension. So if instead of studying more Torah, you study the Torah deeper, that's Hasidus. So if you're talking about loving, Hasidus says, no. Don't take it at surface. Go a little deeper. Love your neighbor as you love yourself doesn't mean as much as you love yourself, because you should love them much more than yourself. What it means is love them with the same method or the same way that you love yourself, but not to the same degree. How do you love yourself? First, you validate the importance or the significance of your existence. Then you look at the details. And that's how you should do with others. First, validate their existence. They are necessary, valuable creations because they serve God's purpose. Now, look at the details. What are their talents? What are their weaknesses? But you've already validated their existence. This is what we do for ourselves. I can admit when I'm dumb, when I'm lazy, when I'm incapable, and it doesn't hurt my self-image. I can say I'm such a klutz, I'm so stupid, I'm so bad at this. But if you say it, then it's offensive. Right? If I say I'm so stupid, and you say, yeah, I noticed. You're just validating what I just said, and yet I'm offended. So why is it I can say all sorts of negative things about myself, but you can't? Why is that? It's because before I criticize myself, I have already validated myself. But when others criticize me, it's without the validation. Oh, that hurts. So love others, not to the same degree, but in the same way. Never see their faults without first validating their existence. I tell you this beautiful analogy. If a man says, I'm going to marry this woman because she's got a great sense of humor. I'm going to marry this woman because she's just gorgeous. This is not good. Because you're not marrying her. You're marrying some aspect of her. You're marrying something about her. You're not marrying her. So when you encounter the other aspects of her, you're not going to be happy. I married you for your sense of humor, not for your problems. I don't want to hear your problems. I married you for your looks, not for your opinion. It's nasty. Yet, when you turn it around, I want to marry you because I want you. All of a sudden, you're beautiful and you have a great sense of humor, whatever it is. So if I look at the details first, I will never get to the person. But if I put the person first, then all the details will suddenly become beautiful and interesting and enjoyable. Same thing is true with God. Is he your God? Bottom line, is he your God or not?
Yes, for sure.
Is he powerful? Does he love me? Those are details. Before you start with the details, who are you talking about? Are you talking about your God? Okay, now let's talk about the details. But if you're talking about some theory or some, you're not going to get anywhere with that. So focusing on some aspect of God, according to Hasidic thinking, is wrong. You got to go deep. Then all the superficial things become significant. But if you just look at the superficial, it's superficial, it's not significant. So if you're mine, then everything about you becomes important. Not as a detail, but as part of you. So when you love somebody, it makes sense to say, if you harm a hair on her head, I will kill you. Over a hair, one hair, what are you, hung up on hair? No, her hair. Because of who she is, not because of hair. So is God love? Is God powerful? Is God righteous? Is God... Are you talking about my God? That's why the Jewish slogan or statement is, this is my God. Not he's great, he's wonderful, he's strong. He's my God. Now everything about him starts to look good. So how do you love another person? First, like yourself. Validate, absolutely necessary, important part of creation. World cannot be without you. Now let's look at the details. You're a lazy, good-for-nothing bum. Because, yeah, that's the detail. So Hasidus says, of course, you have to love your neighbor as yourself. But that's too vague. Well, he's a human being. She's a good person. Not enough. You have to love every person for being a person, but that has to be reflected in some of the details. You have to find things about the person that you actually love. But you don't look at those things first. When you truly love someone, you will start to see virtues that other people may not notice. So that you are loving the actual person, not the person in principle. So it's not enough to say, I love every Jew because every Jew has a Jewish soul similar to mine. We are the same kind of soul. Well, then you're loving souls, not people. If you know and believe that the other person has a soul, find evidence. Where does that soul show itself? So it's beautiful to say every Jew is as Jewish as every other Jew. Every Jew is as Jewish as Moses. Why? Same soul. Okay. Does that mean you love the person? No, because you're not describing a person. You're describing a soul. It's very easy to love souls. Souls never offend you. Souls never rub you the wrong way. People do. So once you recognize that every Jew has a Jewish soul, now you have to find evidence. See where that Jewish soul is showing up in the person's behavior. So if he's an observant, practicing, it's easy. He keeps kosher, he keeps Shabbat. Okay, there's your evidence. His soul is active, but that's too easy. What about a Jew who doesn't keep Shabbat and doesn't keep kosher? Say, well, I still love him, he has a soul. Not good enough. Just one possible example. You talk to a Jew and you say, you keep kosher? He says, no. Are you observant? No. You go to synagogue on Yom Kippur? Not always. And when he says it, you can see that he feels bad about it. There's your soul. If you're not observant, you're not religious, your family was not religious, so no, you don't go to synagogue, and you don't keep kosher, and you don't keep Shabbos, why do you regret it? Why is there that sadness about it? Like, I wish I did. Of course I can't, because I don't have the faith, and I don't have the belief, and I don't have the education, and I don't belong to that community, none of my friends. Okay. Then just forget about it. No. I can't just forget about it. And I should take that a step further. The Jew who is militant. Don't tell me to be observant. Don't tell me to do mitzvah. Don't tell me that. Why is he so militant? You're not doing any of the commandments, and nobody can tell you what to do. So what are you getting upset about? So if somebody suggests maybe you'd like to light a Shabbos candle. Hey, don't impose your thing. I'm not imposing. I just suggested. See, that reaction shows that he's Jewish.
Rabbi Friedman,
In
I,
the negative, of course, but
I come across a lot of that because most people in my circles are not observant or, well, still not observant for now. And I come across a lot of that. So, what should be the reaction to that reaction?
see where the sensitivity exists. Find where the person does recognize his Jewishness or identify with Jewishness. Even, does anti-Semitism upset you? Oh yeah. Why? Nobody's bothering you. Nobody even knows you're Jewish. What are you worried about? Because I heard that a Jew is suffering, and it bothers me. Why? It's my fellow Jew. So the soul is not just in heaven, it's alive in the person. And if you really love him, you will find it. You will see it. You will notice it.
Rabbi Friedman, today we actually start to learn Tanya, which the Alter Rebbe has provided for the world. And basically what we're celebrating today, for those who don't know, is his freedom, his release from jail. This is why this is the new year for Hasidic community. And today we're starting anew the teachings that he brought to the world, which are absolutely amazing. And again, just to make it simple, it's a marketing technique. If we were to say what is the most important thing about the teachings of Tanya, what would you say it is?
The tone of it, before we get to the content, the tone of it is not you have a problem, let's fix it. It's you want to know what life is all about? Let's work it out. Not fix. Get it straight to begin with. You know, most doctors can heal a sickness, can cure symptoms. Very few doctors know what a healthy person looks like. What's a healthy person? Anyone who doesn't come to a doctor. If you don't need a doctor, you're a healthy person. No. What is healthy? We're too focused on remedial emergency measures. Like the best part of a hospital is the ER. They save lives every 10 minutes. The rest of the hospital, got to be careful. So when it comes to fixing a desperate emergency, we're great. But what about a healthy person? We don't know what that is. Which is just a different way of saying we don't know the purpose of life. So we're just treading water without a purpose. We don't know where we're going. We don't know why we're going, but we got to keep going. That can get frustrating. So Hasidus is not remedial. It's not going to fix your problems. It's going to give you a healthy path to start, to live, to come alive, and to be healthy. Not struggle against the problems. If you live a healthy life, then the problems will resolve themselves or will actually make you stronger.
What about if a person who is not yet healthy starts to learn Tanya? What can that person expect? What kind of results? Because, not everyone, or pretty much no one, in today's society is healthy?
Well, the first thing is you start to learn Tanya and you realize what's missing in your life. You know the symptoms, but what's the cause? What spiritual vitamin are you lacking that is leaving you so vulnerable? So the first thing is that you start to understand your own problem, which is really helpful because then you feel like you're on top of it. Then as you practice healthy lifestyle, the unhealthy stuff starts to disappear. Because good is more powerful than bad. Natural is more natural than unnatural. So if we realize who we are, what our nature really is, and how to nurture that, then you're on your path to health. Not cure, more than cure, just healthy. So it's not a Band-Aid, and it's not wallowing in the problem. It's life. It is actually life-giving. Or somebody said, I was observant all my life and I started to learn Tanya, and it's like oxygen. I never realized that I hadn't been breathing very well. So one of the beautiful things in the introduction to the Tanya, which was written 200 years ago, the author says, people come to me for advice on how to serve God properly, how to make life meaningful, etc., etc. But there are so many people, there's just no time. So what the Rebbe did at first, he took the most common issues that people were wrestling with and wrote the answer or the advice for those issues. Each issue in a separate pamphlet. So a pamphlet on sadness, a pamphlet on arrogance, a pamphlet on guilt. Eventually, those pamphlets were gathered and rewritten into a book, which we now call the Tanya. So in the introduction, the Rebbe says, now that this book is out, you don't have to bother traveling in the winter in Russia to come to Lubavitch, which was not exactly a metropolis. It was a little village and the roads were always muddy. You don't have to bother coming. You can get the advice from the book. Now, people are going to complain. It's not the same thing. Getting advice from a book is not the same as getting advice personally, face to face, because you can misunderstand the book, because the book may be too general for to apply to my problem. It's not the same. It's impersonal. So the Rebbe says this amazing thing. He says, we've spoken. I've heard you. I know you. The book I'm writing now is to you. It'll be as effective as a face-to-face meeting. That is an amazing statement. The empathy. You know, people come to a Rebbe, to a tzaddik, who has none of the problems that the people have. None. What should I do about arrogance? How would he know he has no arrogance? And never did. the amount of empathy necessary for a tzaddik to understand, truly understand, the agony of a non-tzaddik, the degree of love that is necessary for that kind of empathy, it's indescribable. Now, to make that even more amazing, when the Rebbe wrote that introduction, he was talking to the Chassidim who would otherwise come to see him, who now don't have to come see him. And he knows them intimately. So this is not an academic book. This is talking directly to you and telling you exactly what you need to hear. But that was 200 years ago. That was people who were very observant and very holy people. Just they had some issues. Nobody had to tell them there's a God. Nobody had to tell them that you got to be Jewish. It was a different world. And they were coming to ask for advice because they wanted to be better. Now, 200 years later, the average Jew who sits down to study Tanya, first of all, he's not Russian. And we're not living under a czar. It's a different world. And we're not observant. And we're not looking to be better Jews. Somebody recommended that this is a good book. The amazing thing is that 200 years later, for Jews in America, Tanya is amazingly relevant. People who know nothing else about Judaism, and they come to the Beis Chana program, we begin by learning Tanya. They can't read Hebrew. And yet, it's like, oh, wow, that really describes me. That's amazing.
It is amazing. And it's very interesting. Now I understand that it's absolutely a personal book for everybody else, because when I'm trying to explain what Tanya is, I say it's a perfect book to teach you how to control yourself. To me, it's a self-control book, but I guess that's what I was lacking before I started reading it. So it's pretty amazing. And it's for sure something that makes a person healthy, without a doubt. I think everybody should benefit from it. And Rabbi Friedman, thank you so much for giving daily Tanya lessons on Chabad.org. You and Rabbi Gordon are just amazing, and it's fantastic because for those who are listening and who want to really study it, all they have to do is just find Tanya lessons, daily Tanya lessons on Chabad.org. Very simple, Chabad.org, daily Tanya lessons. And it's all right there. And it's so inspirational. It's so educational. It's amazing. Thank you so, so much for doing that and for absolutely everything. Rabbi Friedman, of course, as always, it's very sad, but we run out of this precious time that we have once a week, for which myself and the entire Russian community are enormously grateful to you for. And if you don't mind, just leave us with some light and wisdom. Not that that's exactly what you've been doing for the last hour, but just something that we can take away for particularly today, since it is the new year of Hassidism. So,
the conclusion of the Tanya, after talking about human conditions, righteousness, sinfulness, temptations, strengths, weaknesses, after all of that, which is insightful and way, way beyond psychology, much deeper, much more inspiring, but then at the end, he comes to this fantastic conclusion, which can be life-saving. The conclusion is, why are we here in the first place? You're good, you're bad, you're better, you're worse. Why? Why in the first, but why? What's the difference? Good guy, bad guy. What's the difference? So traditionally, we were told, well, if you're a good guy, then when you die, you'll go to heaven. If you're the bad guy, then when you die, you're going to go to hell. Today, people are asking, so what? I don't know why I'm here. You're telling me I'm going to end up in heaven? So what? It's not like I need to go to heaven and this is how I get there. Why do I need to go to heaven? Why do I need anything? We're down to some very basic fundamental issues. The issue, the ultimate. And nobody's answering that question. So at the end of Tanya, the Rebbe says, you can become better, you can become great, you can become strong, you can become wonderful. But you know what? It's not important. That's not what it's all about. God created the world because he wants to be here with us. Invite him, bring him into your home. That's all. That doesn't mean you have to be a saint or you have to be great or you have to be smart. None of that. He wants to be with you. You as you are. Invite him. Make him comfortable in your home. Like, put a mezuzah on the door. Have some holy books in the house. Let people see Shabbos candles. Then people know that God is invited to your house. Does that mean you're a saint? No. It means you've given God what he created the world for. And that is so much more important than, how do you like me now?
Rabbi Friedman, amazing. Thank you so, so much. Always enlightening, always wise, always with so much light and kindness. Everything you say, I don't know how you manage it, but hopefully everybody's receiving it, and you're teaching us how to interact with the world, which is absolutely extremely important in our day and time right now. So thank you so much for this priceless hour, and very much looking forward to seeing you next Tuesday. And thank God it's Tuesday. Have a happy New Year.